Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Man, and this situation is taking place in Minnesota. It permeates and tempers the temperature that is taking place across America and the potential for civil unrest. We have this political duality going on between Democrats and Republicans, where there has been egregiousness on both sides of both parties in relationship to this immigration issue. As we know, with the President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris tenure, they had open borders and like 12 to 15 million undocumented, unvetted, illegal migrants came into the country in full force, set up these sanctuary cities in places like Chicago and New York, and that didn't do anything but increase the level of chaos and disruption in those major cities, also in Los Angeles, California. And now we have a situation after that influx of millions of illegal immigrants. Now you have this situation under the Trump administration, the Republican administration, where Trump is utilizing ICE and the National Guard to get rid of these so-called illegal immigrants by any means necessary, even at the stake of violating these individuals' constitutional rights. And some may say, well, if they're an illegal immigrant, they do not have United States constitutional rights. But yes, they do. If you look at the Supreme Court and their hearings, they're still human beings. And there's a certain level of humanity that needs to take place. And with all of this chaos and disruption that's taking place, you're seeing more protesting, and you're going to start seeing more civil unrest. And in this Trump administration, it makes you wonder, are they isolating? Is it a form of segregated racism on the people that they are targeting? It seems like it's a certain segment of people of color, and especially in Minnesota, where Trump has denigrated the Somalian community. And of course, he's gone after Hispanic folks, Venezuelans, to speak in particular, Hondurans, people from Central America and these small third world countries. And now, and Minnesota is a tipping point. We have to see what's going on there after this young lady got shot and killed by an ICE agent. Depending on if you're a MAGA person, you would be all for what Trump is doing. And if you're a Democrat person, you're completely against it. So let's get into what's going on in Minnesota, because now you have a wave of resignations in the prosecutor's office. And what does this mean for Minnesota's high-profile federal cases? You have at least 6 federal prosecutors that have resigned as a result of this situation with this young lady that got shot and killed by an ICE agent a few weeks ago. Her last name was Good. She got shot by an ICE agent in the head when she was trying to leave a protesting situation. And there's been a lot of controversy with that. So let's get into it. The Minnesota U.S. Attorney's Office is in turmoil after several experienced federal prosecutors quit a couple of Tuesdays ago amid pressure from Justice Department leaders to investigate Becca Good. Becca Good was the woman who got shot and killed in her car, shot in the head by an ICE agent. And they're not prosecuting that ICE agent for this alleged murder. So to investigate Megan Good for ties to activist groups. She's the widow of Renee Macklin Good. The 37-year-old Minneapolis woman was killed by an ICE agent a couple of weeks ago. The sudden departures leave the future of some high-profile prosecutions in question. So at least 6 prosecutors have left the U.S. Attorney's Office as a result of what's going on in Minnesota. What does that say for our legal system? We already have understaffing of police officers in the majority of our police departments across the country. You have Black Lives Matter wanting to defund the police, and you have an understaffing of federal prosecutors. So what is it saying about our legal system? It's fragmented and it's fragile. The lawyers who left the Minnesota U.S. Attorney's Office this week have among them more than a century of prosecutorial experience. Tom Calhoun Lopez helped secure murder and racketeering convictions of Minneapolis gang members in a marathon back-to-back trials last year. 2 of the guys got life sentences. Also out the door is Attorney Melinda Williams, who oversaw the criminal division. Joe Thompson joined her in leaving. Thompson served as temporary acting U.S. attorney last year. In July, he was the public face of the prosecution of alleged assassin Vance Bolter. Attorney Thompson played another critical role in the office. He was the lead prosecutor in the Feeding Our Future case. Now, if you all following me or you're new to my channel, I did a whole video on the Feeding Our Future case where there was alleged to have been at least $300 million that was stolen by this fake feeding scheme with these nonprofits. So he was the lead prosecutor in the Feeding Our Future case, where 58 people were convicted in a scheme to steal $300 million from the government child nutrition programs. 20 more defendants are awaiting trial. That case put investigators on the scent of the Medicaid fraud in Minnesota. Attorney Thompson made waves last month when he estimated that Medicaid scheme, and in association with Feeding Our Future case, estimated there was about $9 billion worth of fraud. He and others who quit aren't speaking publicly about their decisions. Minnesota's newly appointed U.S. Attorney Dan Rosen did not respond to a request for comment. There's no substitute for human capital in that office, said University of St. Thomas law professor Mark Osler. Osler, once a federal prosecutor himself, said it won't be easy for the remaining assistant U.S. attorneys to press ahead with the fraud cases. We're losing not just knowledge, the kind of thing that's on a script, but also trained prosecutors' impression of how strong a particular witness is. For example, what their relationships are with others, the things that are in Joe Thompson's head that no one else knows. Attorney Lori Levinson, who now teaches at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles, also has experience as a federal prosecutor. Levinson said for decades, U.S. attorneys' offices had their pick of top law school graduates, despite the relatively low pay. People make a big financial sacrifice to do this job, said Attorney Levinson. But they do so because they're really committed to the job, and they believe in what they do, and they believe it's an opportunity to be the best lawyer. Attorney Levinson worked for U.S. attorneys appointed by both Republican and Democratic presidents, and told NPR News she never took a case that she didn't believe in. But Levinson said Justice Department officials in the second Trump administration are pushing a certain narrative and pushing prosecutors to settle political scores. She said the pressure to investigate Becca Good, the widow of Renee Macklin Good, not the ICE agent who shot her, is just one recent example. So even the ICE agent who shot and killed Rebecca Good, not only is he not being investigated, the Trump administration is going after Rebecca Good's character and her past, and starting to character assassinate her even after her death. And many Democrats are against that, and they're in an uproar. She said, I don't think you should point to these prosecutors and say they're abandoning their duty, said Levinson. They've done a lot of good work, and people cannot be forced to stay in an environment where they don't feel they can appropriately and ethically do their job. the Trump administration is putting heavy pressure on many of your U.S. Prosecuting attorneys across the country and your U.S. attorney generals in each state to go after many of these immigrants, legal and or illegal, and to take any means necessary to arrest and remove folks that they feel like they want to remove. And it's not ironic that many of the people that are being removed, being arrested, detained, and removed out of our country are people of color. So remember, Attorney Levinson said, I don't think you should point to these prosecutors and say they're abandoning their duty by quitting. They've done a lot of good work, and people cannot be forced to stay in an environment where they don't feel that they can appropriately and ethically do their job. So there's a lot of pressure there on the Trump administration. On Tuesday, NPR News asked the Justice Department about the mass resignations at the Minnesota U.S. Attorney's Office and the push to investigate Megan Good for ties to activist groups. In a short statement, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche addressed only the shooting itself, saying, there is currently no basis for a criminal civil rights investigation against the ICE agent. Prior to the recent resignations, the office was already down. Listen to this, look at the numbers. Prior to the recent resignations, the office was already down to just 25 prosecutors, half of its peak strength before budget cuts. Attorney Levinson says, given the low morale in the current political environment, new U.S. Attorney Dan Rosen may have a hard time hiring new lawyers, particularly those skilled at handling complex, high-profile cases. This situation and the pressure, the understaffing, the underpaid, the undervalue of these U.S. prosecutors sounds very similar to the understaffed, the underpaid, and underappreciated police officers. So you're seeing a total decline in our entire legal system where we don't have enough prosecutors to prosecute and look at serious cases. We don't have enough police officers to make arrests on serious cases. Power being absorbed from them due to understaffing, due to fear if you make an arrest, especially a white police officer against somebody of color, is that going to create a national controversy? The whole legal system is fragmented and is fragile at this particular time. And I don't think the Trump administration is doing a good job in making our legal system look good and feel prepared to deal with this craziness that society has placed on us today.